Right, so on this practice paper then, number 9. So we've got this missile, which is taking off, doing this. The relationship between vertical height h and the horizontal distance x is given by this. So there's your relationship. And we can see that it goes over a distance of 4, determining the mean height of the missile from 0 to 4 meters is what we're asked to do. So if you remember, to find the mean height, the basic formula, and when it comes to the exam, you've not got on your formula sheet the formula for the mean height or for the RMS height, which you're asked to find in this particular question. It's not outside the realms of possibility to remember it. However, to guide you for this particular exam, if you do need to find the mean or the RMS height, you'll be given the formula in the question, so you're not expected to remember it. But if you remember when we talked about it, if I'm going to integrate a function between two limits, a and b, then the mean value for x is the total area underneath the curve, and then what do I do to get the mean? Divide by the two limits, b minus a in this case. So that's the formula for the mean height. And if on top of that you ask to find the RMS value, then the RMS value would be, so x RMS, similar sort of thing, you integrate between a and b, but this time you square the function, so it's the mean of the squares of the function, so it's the mean of the squares of the functions. So again you divide by the limits, but RMS, the square root of that, certainly the square root. So they're not difficult to remember. Root means square means the square root of the mean of the squares. So for this particular example, what we're asked to do is to integrate this function, h equals 4x minus x squared, between the limits 0 and 4. So what do I do to get the mean value for h? Divide by 4 minus 0, or just 4. So all I've got to do is integrate that function between 0 and 4, and then divide by 4 and give me the mean value. So if I just pause this video there, see if you can do it. So h bar, the mean height, what do? I integrate, add 1 to the power, so this is power 1 now, so it becomes x squared over 2 minus x cubed over 3. I can tidy this up because 4x squared over 2 is just 2x squared. I use the square brackets because I'm going to put these limits of 4 and 0 in. And then I evaluate the top, and then remember at the end to divide my final answer by 4. So just finish that off. Okay, so tidying up, this becomes 2x squared. Putting the limits in, I let x equal 4, so I put 4 in here. And then for the limit of 0, of course, because x is in both of these terms, and that's obviously going to be 0, so I can write that down as 0 straight away. And then working out using a calculator. I'd recommend in the exam that you, to some extent, do the steps, because if you do it all in one hit on the calculator, you might make an error, especially when it comes to negative signs. So be careful of that. Just take a bit of time over it in the exam, do it step by step, and there's the final answer, 2.230 to 2.67, to 3 significant figures. Part A. Part B asks you to find the RMS value. So the RMS value is the integral between 0 and 4 of the function, which is 4x minus x squared, squared over 4, and then square rooted. So part B involves evaluating that. So again, I've got to integrate this. The first step would be to take this and multiply it out. 4x minus x squared squared. So this bracket times by that bracket again, effectively 4x minus x squared times 4x minus x squared. Multiply out those brackets and then integrate that. Okay? So I'll leave you again to have a go at that, see if you can finish that question off, and then we'll have a look at it. So, RMS value, I expand out those two brackets. I've got 4x minus x squared times 4x minus x squared, expanding out 4x times 4x, 4x times minus x squared, and so on. So 4x times 4x gives 16x squared. 4x times minus x squared is minus 4x cubed. Minus x squared times 4x is another minus 4x cubed. Minus x squared times minus x squared is plus x to the 4, so I should get that. I can tidy that up. These two can be combined to get minus 8x cubed, and then I integrate. So carry on from there. Okay, so I'm going to integrate this. By adding 1 to the power divided by the new power. Add 1 to the power divided by the new power. So on. Simplifying where possible. Okay. Simplifying where possible and then putting in the limits. I'm going to let x in here equal 4 and work it out. Again, because the bottom limit is 0, and this is generally but not always the case, so be careful. If x is 0, then the whole thing's going to be 0. So it's just the top limit I've got to put in. And I can do it in one hit on the calculator. And I get an answer of 2.921. Just check that one. Yeah, that's the correct answer. So that's the solution for number 9.